and welcome everyone. Whether you are here in this building, or I know there's quite a few joining us on Zoom, welcome Zoomers, or maybe watching a recording online later. You are welcome whether you're a regular attender, whether you've been here a few times, especially if you're a newcomer. Whatever you bring in your heart, whether you come in sadness, joy, or out of curiosity, whatever your faith or none, you are welcome here. Before going any further, I would like to say that we here in Knott Street join with our national Unitarian community, which released a statement expressing shock and sadness at hearing of the recent attack at the Heaton Park Synagogue in Manchester. This will be felt deeply by all UK Jewish communities, including the one here in Plymouth, particularly as it happened on the holy day of Yom Kippur. We stand for peace and oppose violence in all its forms. An attack on any place of worship, whatever the faith, is an attack on all who value freedom of faith and conscience. Places of worship should be sanctuaries, safe spaces for reflection, community, and spiritual life. As Unitarians, we are committed to interfaith solidarity and to building communities where people of all faiths and none can live without fear. That commitment matters most in moments like this, and we have sent a message of support to our local synagogue just across the road. So, now to our service. This morning, we are celebrating FairTrade Fortnight, which runs from the 22nd of September until today, the 5th of October. So we're actually at the very end of this year's FairTrade Fortnight, but last week we had our Harvest Festival, and you can't do two things at once. This year's theme is Do It Fair, Brew It Fair, and we hear some personal experience of fair trade growers from various countries. Our opening music was African, because a lot of fair trade tea, coffee and cocoa and other fair trade items are produced in various African countries. Our reflective music and our final piece of music are also African, although fair trade tea is also grown in India and lots of fair trade coffee is grown in South America. There will also be two short videos explaining a bit about fair trade. All fair trade growers around the world are our neighbours, albeit at a geographical distance. So before we begin, please turn to your near neighbour and introduce yourself. And if you're on Zoom, maybe you'd like to greet one another via the chat box. That was lovely. So now it's time to light our chalice, and we begin formally, as is our custom, by lighting our chalice flame, a symbol of our free religious faith. And of those who are on Zoom who may have a candle, if you'd like to light it now. That's the hardest part done. We light this candle to remind ourselves of the light of conscience that exists in every person, leaving us without excuse for ignoring the plight of those less fortunate than ourselves. May our worship this morning enlighten us about humanity's needs, and may we become inspired to give light to the darker corners of the world. A few words from Leviticus. Do not defraud or rob your neighbour. Do not hold back the wages of a hired worker overnight. If you sell land to any of your own people or buy land from them, do not take advantage of each other, but fear your God. And I would say that in this church, the word God is whatever your construction is on that word. Let's join in singing our first hymn. It's number 128 in the Purple Book. Our world is one world, and the words will also appear on the screen. Let us turn to prayer and reflection. We hold in our thoughts and prayers all those of our church community, those of our friends and families, and our neighbours in the wider community who are in need of solace. For the sick, may there be healing and strength. For the distressed, may there be peace and tranquility of spirit. For the embittered, may there be reconciliation and new beginning. For the despairing, may there be faith and rekindled joy. For the fearful, may there be courage and unquenchable hope. For the poor and oppressed, may there be better times ahead. For those that mourn, may there be comfort. With trembling hands, we reach out to all our neighbours, those nearby or afar, who are suffering in any way. May love and life flow out through us to restore, to relieve, and to recreate. and a short prayer adapted from one by A. Powell Davies. When we give thanks for what is given to us and not to others, let us remember to pray softly, for there will be many who overhear. Let conscience search our gratitude. This bounty did not come to us because more than others we are deserving of it. Spirit of truth, rebuke us until the needy multitudes press upon our thoughts and prayers. These are our brothers and sisters. We are all part of one global family. In our gratitude, help us to remember that. Amen. It has become a custom here to have a story at this point in our service. It was our retired now minister, Kate, who set this one up, initially for any children who might join us. But even if there aren't any, the grown-ups seem to enjoy a story too. So we continue this tradition, and today we're having two. The first one is a short video cartoon briefly explaining about fair trade, and that will be followed by the true story of one African person living and working in a fair trade co-op, and Kim has kindly agreed to read that. But first, the short video.
This is Ngala. His family has been growing coffee in Ethiopia for a long time. Ngala doesn't always make a lot of money when he sells his coffee, because his neighbours sell it too. So it is very competitive, and they don't always make money either. If Ngala has a bad crop of coffee due to drought or diseased plants, if he is unable to sell his coffee or doesn't get a lot of money for his crop, he can't afford to send his children to school, buy food or medication for his family, or purchase more coffee trees. A buyer comes to visit Ngala and tries to get as much coffee as he can for not very much money. The buyer then sells it and puts it on a ship to be transported, roasted, and made into coffee by big companies. This is the same for all Ngala's neighbours and friends. So, Ngala and his friends decided to all join together and sell their coffee in what is called a cooperative, which sells direct to the big companies. They can also make their own coffee brand and sell it direct to the market and fair trade stores in order to make even more money. This means that Ngala and his friends have enough money to eat, send their children to school, pay for medication, upgrade machinery, and buy more coffee trees. It also means that they can buy things for their town and help their community. So how can you help Ngala and his friends? Look for this symbol on any coffee, and this will help people like Ngala. It's not just coffee either. You can help people who sell cocoa, cotton, bananas, soccer balls, almost anything that has a fair trade symbol on it. So remember, when you purchase a product with the fair trade symbol, you won't only be changing Ngala and his friends' lives, but also millions of other people around the world.
And now Kim is going to read us a true story. And it's Kim's first time reading for us, and we're really looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Amani's story. Is changing women's roles in cocoa farming and decision making. Amani Adeleye is a cocoa farmer and Deputy Secretary of the Women's Association at a cooperative of cocoa growers on Africa's Ivory Coast. She leads a growing group of women who are reshaping their roles in cocoa farming and decision-making in the household. Women are taking on new responsibilities and contributing more directly to their households. She says, through fair trade, our husbands gave us plots of land. Now we have become more independent. Once we believed that in the absence of men, nothing was possible. The women now earn more by growing cassava, yams, peanuts and beans, and their work is valued both in the fields and at home. This is about more than income, but about women having a stronger voice and being more active in shaping the future for their families and the community. The FairTrade Premium, an extra sum of money paid on top of the selling price, has transformed her life. And Manny says the FairTrade Premium is a big help. Before that, our resources were running out. These bonuses allow us to cover unexpected expenses, such as medical care or children's school fees. She has also had leadership and financial training through the FairTrade network based in Africa. She says this has changed her outlook. The training courses have changed her vision of things. Now I am more savvy with my money. I learned to save part of my income. She uses this to support her children's education and help cover household costs. And Manny's story is also one of adapting and improving farming practices. She says the training courses also influenced our agricultural practices, particularly in favour of organic farming. By ditching chemicals, we have seen a significant improvement in our crops. Organic guarantees better safety and increases the quality of our harvests, particularly for cocoa and coffee. The cocoa is better quality and the pods no longer stick, which makes harvesting easier. The pods are more beautiful, and so are the cocoa beans. Isn't that nice? And Manny's passion for organic farming has also inspired others in her community to adopt more sustainable practices. The new generation of farmers, increasingly women, is both innovative and more environmentally conscious. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you. That's wonderful. So I invite you to join in singing our second hymn, which is in the Green Book, number 42, A Dream of Widening Love. Not specifically about fair trade, but I think it's in the spirit of what all of us can do. So number 42, A Dream of Widening Love.
For
We're now going to show another video cartoon, and this is about climate change and how the FairTrade Premium enables people living and working on a tea plantation in southern India to combat the challenges of climate change and to make life safer for them at night. And this will be followed by the story of another fair trade worker, again from South India, as a real-life example of what is shown in the film. So, Lisa, thank you.
Fair trade means fair for people and planet. It means a fairer deal for farmers and workers on the front line of the climate crisis, to help them deal with the huge challenges climate change is already causing them. Challenges like less fertile land, failing harvests, and more extreme weather. It means our eco-friendly fair trade standards. And it means expert advice on sustainable farming techniques from our fair trade producer networks, who offer support all around the world. But why does fair trade care about the climate crisis? Because the climate crisis isn't fair. Farmers like Siddy and his family contribute least to this crisis. Carbon emissions per person in the UK are 28 times bigger than those of someone in Sierra Leone, but they are the ones getting hit the hardest. And unless we take urgent action, things will get worse for hard-pressed communities around the world and for the future of our favourite products. Up to 50% of land used for coffee could be unusable by 2050. Plant diseases are becoming more common. Cocoa trees will be harder to grow in West Africa. Wine production could reduce by 40 to 50% in South Africa and Chile. But we can choose a better future with fair trade. Fair trade exists precisely to help those in need get through a crisis and win justice in the longer term. Whether that's a trade crisis of unsustainable prices, the COVID-19 crisis, or the huge challenge of the climate crisis. So how is fair trade helping tackle the climate crisis? When you buy fair trade, it means farmers and workers getting at least a guaranteed fair trade minimum price and an extra payment known as the Fair Trade Premium, which they choose how to invest in their communities and farms. That means more resources to deal with the escalating challenges climate change brings. This could mean planting new trees, new climate-smart farming techniques, or coping with more extreme weather patterns. Sadly, too many farmers and workers simply don't earn enough to do any of this, which is why our global fair trade movement is campaigning for all farmers and workers to earn a living income, so communities, businesses and families in the global south can survive this crisis. But with our fair trade producer networks, fair trade is there on the ground too, giving expert practical advice. Fair trade farmers are on the front line of the climate crisis, but are working to win a better future for our planet. They work in line with our eco-friendly fair trade standards, bans on deforestation, commitments to reduce carbon footprints, protections for biodiversity. So every time you choose fair trade, you're choosing a better future for all of us and the whole planet. Action on climate change is in our hands. Share to help us win a fairer future.
I think most of us here are well aware of that message, but it doesn't hurt to reinforce it. This is Mr. Murugaraj's story. Mr. Murugaraj is a supervisor and a member of the Fair Trade Premium Committee at Staines Amalgamated States in southern India. As the third generation in his family to work at Staines, where his wife also works, tea means a lot for Mr. Murugaraj and his family's livelihood. He's dedicated to the continuation of tea growing by improving sustainability on the estate, and he's using the Fair Trade Premium to do it. He explains how climate change affects the livelihood of tea workers. Our crop yields go down. If the crop yield goes down, our tea production reduces. And if that goes down, our income also goes down. And when this happens, we face hardship. But using the Fair Trade Premium, Mr. Murugaraj has developed a reforestation project to protect the environment. He says, "We've bought and planted trees. Through this, we're creating more forests, and this helps bring in more wildlife. We protect these areas and safeguard the water sources." As a FairTrade Premium Committee member, he has driven further change in his community by improving the safety of the workers and their families. Paid for by their money from the FairTrade Premium, solar-powered street lighting has been installed to keep the families safe at night, especially from wildlife attacks. He explains, "Our children have evening classes. If there is lighting in those areas, animal movements will reduce, and that will make us all safer. And the community could only afford those improvements thanks to the FairTrade Premium." It's time to reflect. I'm going to read a piece which is adapted from the words of George Chrysides, who was a one-time member of this congregation. And after that will be a short silence and then some reflective music. So George Chrysides, who discovered Unitarianism at this church some decades ago, writes, "We live in a divided world. 75% of the world's population live in the third world. Yet that 75% receive 30% of the world's cereals, 15% of the world's fuel and energy, 11% of the world's education budget, 6% of the world's health budget. We acknowledge that this is unjust and that we need to play our part in raising people's consciousness, taking active steps to remedy some of these injustices, and being prepared to forego some of our luxuries in order to achieve this. We remember the relief organisations which seek to help directly where the need is greatest. Let us be thankful that there are ventures like Fair Trade, which seek to ensure the workers are paid fair wages for their efforts. We think of politicians who have it in their power to find solutions to problems of inequality. We think of those who do business in foreign countries and determine the conditions in which the trade is carried out. We think of those who are tempted to put profits before people or who exploit them. And we think of those who suffer from that exploitation and live in poverty as a result. We think of those who feel self-satisfied, believing there are easy solutions or that they are morally superior to the rest of us. So may we recognise the complexity of the problems, be willing to learn and willing to change, so that we may play our part in creating a more just and equal world. May our hearts be filled with the spirit of love and peace, now and forevermore. Amen. I found that very soothing. Our world is one world. Its ways of wealth affect us all. The way we spend, the way we share. Who are the rich or poor? Who stand or fall? These words from our first hymn this morning, they seem so appropriate for a service celebrating fair trade. And as I mentioned earlier, today is the last day of this year's FairTrade Fortnight. Some people might ask, why are we talking about fair trade in church? I hope that may be a little clearer after hearing some of those real-life stories about how fair trade has improved the lives of the people living and working in fair trade communities in various countries. We heard about some of the fair trade growers and the challenges they face. In the Old Testament, we read that Moses was given a set of rules by God. They cover many different things, including laws to protect poor people and foreigners. In the opening words from Leviticus, do not defraud or rob your neighbour. Do not hold back the wages of a hired worker overnight. If you sell land to any of your own people or buy land from them, do not take advantage of each other, but fear your God. And similarly, from Deuteronomy, do not take advantage of a hired worker who is poor and needy, whether that worker is a fellow Israelite or a foreigner residing in one of your towns. Pay them their wages each day before sunset, because they are poor and counting on it. Well-intentioned as it was, this law would have been hard, I think, for many of the people living when this piece was written over 3,000 years ago, where they would have found it hard to follow that, because the farmers who had to pay the wages to the labourers were often very poor themselves. Although it would have been hard, the rules that Moses wrote down said that treating everyone fairly, whatever your differences, was an important part of serving God. We've all become much more aware recently of just how much trade matters to our daily lives. We've all become very aware of how many jobs, government policies, the goods we buy and the services we enjoy are linked to trade, both here in the UK and in countries right around the world. In the last few months, many of us have, I'm sure, probably reached saturation point hearing about trade deals or no deals and the new tariffs imposed on our goods by some countries overseas. We've heard about it on the television, the media, and in the papers. Please don't turn off, not just yet. We humans have been trading throughout our history, long before formal money was invented. The first trading was most likely simple swapping or bartering. If someone had something another person needed or wanted, they might be persuaded to hand it over in exchange for something they wanted from the other person. Who knows? Maybe a small piece of meat was exchanged for some sweet berries or a place nearer the campfire. However simple trading started, everyone's life would have been a little better. Trading involved cooperation and a partnership that helped both parties. And that's true today. Without trade, we wouldn't have bananas or drink coffee or chocolate, don't tell Jane. Without trade, many jobs would simply not exist. But trade has always been a tough business, and modern trading is complicated, involving hard-fought negotiations. No one wants to come out with a bad deal. To be successful in trade negotiations, you need to be strong, economically and politically. So when trading with poorer communities around the world, we need to consider at least two questions. Firstly, who has the power? And secondly, how do we see those that we trade with? As opponents and competitors, or friends and partners? This year's FairTrade Foundation asks us to do it fair when shopping and to brew it fair when making our favourite drink, be it tea, coffee or cocoa, or maybe serving wine for a special occasion. I was devastated to hear that maybe half the wine production might be lost due to climate change. In that first little video in Gala in Ethiopia, we saw how the unscrupulous coffee buyer had the power to pay whatever he chose. You see the grin on his face. usually as little as possible, leaving each individual grower struggling to meet their several living expenses. By forming that cooperative with other growers in the area and selling their products to fair trade, Ngala and his neighbours took back that power for themselves. They work in partnership with fair trade to receive better prices for their crops, a price which remains stable whatever the vagaries of the market, and that's really important. All right, sometimes the market price might go up and they don't receive that, but more often than not, the market price dips, but they still receive the same amount. And that's really important because that means Ngala and his neighbours can budget, securing the knowledge that they can pay for all life's necessities. And that fair trade premium, that extra sum, is for each community to use as they consider best for their community's needs. A clinic, a schoolroom, some extra equipment, coffee bushes to replace those that might have been lost to disease. So it's really important they decide, the people living on the ground, decide what they will spend that money on. But whichever organisation buys the coffee, the cocoa or the other crops, ultimately it is the consumer of the finished product of the tea or the coffee or the bar of chocolate. I haven't bought one of those. And they have the power over the farmers of Ethiopia, Sierra Leone or South India through that trading relationship with them. They grow the food that we eat, the bar of chocolate we enjoy in secret, or the bedtime cup of cocoa in our living rooms in Plymouth. Is this trading relationship a fair one? A relationship of neighbourly concern, neighbourly love even, for that geographically distant farmer neighbour? It can be if the producers enjoy fair trade status. In the longer video, and in Amani's story, which Kim read so beautifully, thank you, and Mr. Muraj's stories, we learnt and saw how fair trade enables them to undertake training to live better lives, whether it's living more independently or dealing with the challenges of climate change. An important aspect of the fair trade groups and cooperatives is in the field of the gender equality, as we've heard, both for pay and conditions and opportunity. The training has enabled Amani and supported her and other women to take control of their own lives, to manage their resources and develop the ability to make decisions. And it's given them the confidence to act on that. And now they're able to take up leadership roles in their community and farming organisations. There's one very important issue which wasn't actually mentioned in the videos, but I feel I must mention this too, and that is of child labour. There are very strict conditions attached when conferring fair trade status on any community. Children of school age are not allowed to work or be taken advantage of in any way. They must attend school, have time afterwards to do homework, and also just enjoy being children. The children and young people are encouraged to stay on for further education, for their own future benefit and that of their communities. And that applies to all fair trade communities around the world. So what is our role in all of this? We have the power of our wallets or purses. We have the power to refuse to accept trade which exploits others. We can choose to buy in ways which are fairer to the growers, and so help to rebalance the scales of trade. What's in it for us? Emotional and spiritual benefits, a nice warm glow from thinking we've done our bit today. Well, there are other rewards too. Remember Sidi and Mr. Murugard living in different continents, but equally concerned about the effects of climate change and the uncertainties growers like them are facing. If the farmers don't have the money to invest in adapting to these things, then their crops become harder to grow and more expensive. The money and the training from fair trade enables the growers to make those adaptations. Paying fair prices to farmers now keeps our shopping bills down in the future. In our interconnected world, we cannot isolate ourselves from the damage we do to others. Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. So, let's do it fair. Choose to buy fair trade so that Mr. Amali, Mr. Muraj, Sidi, Sadiq, and many more like them get a fair price for their crops, be they cocoa, tea, coffee, bananas, fruit, or cotton, to name but a few. This fair trade tea was grown by a cooperative in Kericho in Kenya, and it represents over 10,000 farmers and workers in the region, and it supplies at least 12% of the co-op's Fair Trade 99 tea. And it says through fair trade, farmers and workers can improve their living and working conditions and gain access to market. They are building houses, investing in their communities, and providing education for their children. They are also growing their own businesses and using good agricultural practices, including forest conservation. All that in one little box. So what can we do? We can raise awareness about fair trade and tell people about it, and we do serve it in our Wednesday cafe, both fair trade tea and coffee, and I think there's cocoa as well. We can learn about fair trade and its impact on the producers. We can engage on social media, share information about FairTrade Fortnight, and maybe we've slipped up a bit on that. We can buy fair trade gifts for special occasions, and you have a chance to do so this very day, for our friend Mary is here with a marvellous selection of fair trade goodies in the hall. Do go and look and spend. She's got the link to the Wi-Fi, so you can pay her in cash or you can pay her with your card. And these will not only delight whoever is the happy recipient, but they'll all support our fair trade producers in various countries. And I think you've quite a lot from Bethlehem, haven't you, Mary? Yeah. There's quite a lot from Bethlehem, so do go and look afterwards. So let's do it fair, not only this week, but every week of every year. And I'm going to finish by quoting Traore Awa Batiba, a cocoa grower on the Côte d'Ivoire. And she's now the director of her own cooperative and oversees over 2,000 farmers, 90% of who are men. She said, "I love fair trade so much. It is the future for cocoa farmers around the world like me. And I hope that customers will buy more fair trade certified products to keep helping us. I thank you all for that. And I hope that fair trade will save our planet too." Amen to that. It's time for our final hymn, and it is in the Purple Book, number 84, Justice for Persons. And I think that's what this is all about.
Sustain
closing words. I don't know who wrote them, but they seemed appropriate. Our worship time today has finished, but our service is not over. It has only just begun. We cannot solve all of the world's problems, but may we be more aware of suffering, poverty and injustice, and each do what we can to do it fair, in whatever small ways we can, to bring a better life to those who work so hard to produce the goods which bring a better life to us all. Amen.